The smoke from the grill curled like a lie that finally learned how to float. Laughter stalled mid-breath. Plastic cups froze halfway to mouths. Then she said it, slurred, careless, precise as a blade. "So, when are you leaving her?" I smiled, because that's what a man does when a room expects him to laugh. The silence was heavier than the August heat. My wife's best friend blinked, confused by the stillness she'd poured into. She looked at me again. "Wait," she said, eyes widening. "He doesn't know?" I nodded once. Understood. That was the moment the retirement trust activated its voting rights. Not literally, this wasn't a boardroom, but something older and colder clicked into place. A switch I'd been guarding for years without knowing why. We had history, my wife and I, the kind you photograph and frame and show to strangers as proof of endurance. We built routines like furniture, solid, familiar, unmoving. Her best friend was always there, orbiting us like a moon. Vacations, late-night wine, secrets I didn't ask about because trust is quiet. It doesn't announce itself. I remembered the early days, the way my wife leaned into me when she laughed, the way she said my name like it anchored her. I remembered the promises that felt too obvious to break. That's what makes betrayal efficient. It hides in plain sight. The party resumed in pieces. Someone made a joke too loud. Someone else clinked ice. My wife took her friend inside, whispering sharply. I watched through the kitchen window as they argued with their hands. My wife's face was pale, her friend's was apologetic in the way only the guilty can manage. I didn't confront her, not that night. I took out the trash, I scraped plates, I kissed cheeks, I locked the door. And when we went to bed, I lay awake listening to her breathe, counting the spaces between truths. Discovery isn't always a revelation. Sometimes it's a confirmation. I didn't hack phones or follow shadows. I did something simpler. I paid attention. Patterns surfaced like bones in low tide, late meetings that didn't align, a name that appeared too often and disappeared too quickly, receipts folded with care, a scent that wasn't hers. One email did it, open on a shared tablet she forgot to close. No names, just logistics, just affection disguised as efficiency. I felt the pain register, then file itself away. Pain is loud. Planning is silent. I didn't rage. I organized. I met with a lawyer who specialized in quiet exits. I reviewed accounts she thought were joint but were merely adjacent. I updated beneficiaries. I documented everything: timestamps, statements, contradictions. I installed nothing. I invaded nothing. I let people be exactly who they were and wrote it down. Weeks passed. I cooked dinners. I asked about her day. I listened. I waited for the moment when truth would be most expensive. It came sooner than expected. Another gathering, smaller, friends who mattered. Her best friend wasn't invited this time. My wife poured wine with a steadiness that betrayed nothing. I stood and cleared my throat. "I have a confession," I said. My voice didn't shake. That surprised me. I don't like surprises. She smiled, relieved. Neither do I. I slid the folder onto the table. Not dramatic, not thick, just enough. The room leaned in without meaning to. I spoke softly, like a man reading instructions he'd memorized. "I know," I said, "how long, with whom, where, and why you thought I wouldn't notice." Her smile collapsed, not into guilt, into calculation. She reached for the folder. I stopped her with a finger. "There's more," I said. "I've already filed." The power shift was audible. A chair scraped. Someone inhaled sharply. My wife's eyes searched faces for allies, and found none. Betrayal looks different when it's public. It loses its poetry. She cried later, privately. She accused me of cruelty, of planning, of being cold. I agreed with the last one. The fallout was surgical. The settlement followed the documentation. The narrative followed the evidence. Her best friend called. I didn't answer. Some bridges don't burn, they simply stop existing. Months later, I stood alone at a new grill, smoke rising into a sky that didn't know my name. I thought about the moment she said, "He doesn't know." I thought about how knowledge isn't power until you decide what to do with it. I didn't win because I hurt them. I won because I refused to be small. There's a quiet that comes after justice, not peace, clarity. I live there now. No regret, no applause, just the steady confidence of a man who listened, planned, and chose the right moment to speak. Understood.